So hello podcasters, and welcome back to podcast number 2. Christmas 2023. Now it's not been the best year for me, to be really honest, but I think Christmas has come along, and to be honest it's been a positive part of my year. Earlier on in the year, things were the worst that we're going to get. But what we've realised is family is more important to us than anything in the world. A particular group of people you can sit with, cry with, talk to, drink with. You all just sit there together as one, and you all know exactly the way each is feeling, what it's like. So yesterday I went over to our daughters. Me and my wife went over to our daughters, who lives in a little local village with a lot of people who are probably the most chilled people you'll ever meet. They live in a village, so there's no harshness with them. They're all very relaxed people. And we went to the local pub just for an hour, and we walked in, and everybody smiled. My daughter's been a bit of a focal part of the community over there in the 20 years, I presume, that she's lived there, taking part in the plays. She was assistant manager of the doctor's surgery. Amazing, really. No real reason to leave the place apart to go shopping, because sadly, as with all village shops nowadays, most of them have gone. Not say all, most of them have gone. I remember that particular village because I used to work there when I was sort of 18, 19, and they had a local shop. A lot of the villages had local butchers, but obviously with the passing of time, they've not been able to make it, and they just go by the wayside. So we arrived for 12 o'clock, went out to the pub about 12:30. We said we were going to stay an hour. We actually stayed a little bit longer because we're going back at 2 o'clock for a full Christmas dinner. Anyway, we got back at 2 o'clock. We all sat about some more, and eventually we ate at 4. And to be honest, it was the perfect time. It did 2 meals in one. So we all started eating. I had turkey for the first time ever. Well, probably not for the first time, but first time in a long, long time, because I'd sort of convinced myself that I didn't like turkey. And it was there all cooked and looking at me, and I was nice and hungry. We had a homemade vegetable soup for starters. And that was to die for. It was amazing. With fresh, warm bread out the oven. And then I had lamb as well, turkey and lamb, because they obviously got lamb for me, because I don't normally eat turkey. So I had them both. And it took ages to eat, because we're all just chatting and enjoying ourselves. By that point, we'd sort of relaxed from the alcohol as well. We'd not masses to drink, but just the right amount to actually get you relaxed and chatting. I sat next to a guy who's I'm going to call him my son-in-law, my daughter's boyfriend. And I sat next to his brother. And within half an hour, we were like we'd known each other for years. Fantastic, interesting guy. He's into his outdoors. He absolutely loves his outdoors. He forages for food and then cooks it himself. Enjoys the beer. He's a builder. He's got lots of things to talk about, different things in his life. So I got talking to him. And to the left of me was my granddaughter's boyfriend. Now my granddaughter's very, very nearly 18. And the boyfriend, I presume, is between 18 and 19. I've never really asked him. But I know he's 18, but I think he's best part of a year older than her. And he's had an amazing calming influence on her. Obviously, for us, a daughter being ill and with the prospect of not living a long life is absolutely heartbreaking. But what you forget, or what we forget sometimes, is my granddaughter is 17 years old, with the prospect of not having a mother about for that much longer. She's been absolutely marvellous with her mum as well. She's been making sure she eats after the chemo, looking after the little ones, just taking them out of the way sometimes, just to give her mum a chance to take a breather and just spend a bit of time on her own to basically feel ill. So I got sat chatting to them. Anyway, 3/4 of the way through, this time the Jack Daniels had been flowing, and you start to get even more relaxed. I wasn't really drunk or anything like that, but I'd just had enough, and I said, right, let's somebody make a speech. And they all said, well, why don't you? So I made a couple of silly attempts of, what a fantastic day, cheers, let's all have a drink. And they all went, no, do a speech. I don't know if anybody actually recorded it. It'd be interesting to see if it sounded as good as what I thought it did, to be really honest. So I've been on YouTube for a while, so I'm used to filling the gaps, doing the blanks, making sure there's no dead air. So what I did, I went round the table. There must have been 14 around the table. And I made a speech about each one of them, only a brief one, only about 20, 30 seconds. And told each one of them exactly how I thought about them. And how loved they were, and what a special person there was in my life. So we started with a guy who I only met in the afternoon. And so I discussed him, how interesting he was. It was a pleasure to meet him. Then I went on. My wife was sat next to him. So I told the world how much I loved her, or how much I love her, how strong she is, and what a rock she is. Then we went on to one of my daughter's friends. So I can't really remember what I said about her, because I just know her as my daughter's friend. So I think we sort of brought it up, how calming it's been, the fact that she's supported my daughter through this time. She was one of the girls call them girls, 40 years old. One of the ladies that actually she jumped with Lou out of the plane. Just trying to think in the order it went. Next to her was a lady called Joyce. Now, you don't ask a lady her age, especially a slightly senior lady. She's a very, very beautiful Ghanaian lady who lost her husband. He was 92. So I'm going to take a little bit of a guess between 65 and 70, this lady. Very religious, which I'm not very religious. So I did, tried not to discuss that with her. But she was fascinating. I mean, she's gone through the death of a husband of many years. And we didn't actually think she was going to come round, because she'd been invited and people ringing her. But she'd been out for a walk and stuff like that. I think she was struggling with the day. I think it was her first time having a Christmas without her husband. So we made her smile, and we moved round to my daughter's partner, told him how grateful we were from him looking after her. And then it was time to talk about my daughter. It's very easy to say that somebody is really strong when they're fighting cancer and all the usual things, and you're doing really well. But I don't really think I actually said that. I said how proud I was of her for managing to carry on being a mother and a person and a partner, through which must obviously be a terrible, terrible situation. The fact that you don't know how long you've got left, and you're going to leave 2 babies if you go too quick. And parents who aren't even elderly. It's bad enough for us, but you cannot comprehend what she's going through. And she smiled, that beautiful smile that she does. And, you could see she enjoyed it. But just before, I've missed one person out, which was my daughter's partner's daughter, who is very nearly the same age, within a couple of months, as my granddaughter. And she's so lovely. She's such a pretty young woman. She's done well this year. She's passed the driving test. She's got a full-time job. And she's doing really well for herself. And we told her how much we loved her as well. She obviously enjoyed that bit as well. So, and we went on to my daughter's partner. Then we went on to my daughter. Now the next one was my granddaughter. So we told her how proud of her we were, and how amazing she is, and how much we love her. And then we moved on to a boyfriend. Now, since my granddaughter met her boyfriend, she's gone from being a slightly selfish, we'll say. I mean, she's been brought up in a situation where there's not been a shortage of money on her father's side. So she's had more or less everything she wants. So she never understood the value of money. And she didn't really understand. Sometimes, typical of her age group, if things weren't going right for her, it wasn't long before she could be really annoyed and quite brattish. But since she met this guy, she's completely different. She's absolutely in love with him. I met my wife at a very young age, and I was the same with her. And I recognise our relationship in them. I mean, sometimes it's easy to say, oh, it's first love and young love and it'll never last. And they said that about us. And we've been together over 40 years. We're married 40 years next year. And when she gets, flustered and difficult, shall we say, he calms her down, just by his sense of humour. He doesn't argue with her. It's just one-liners. He knows exactly what he was doing. And he's absolutely brilliant with her. So I told him. And you could see how much my granddaughter adores this guy by the welling up in her eyes, and the just absolute joy of somebody saying something nice about him. And she's completely changed within the last 6 months. I don't think really I think when you find you're probably your first love or somebody that you do love, you actually know what it feels like to love somebody, to care about them, to not care about yourself more than them. And I think that's the difference. Anyway, we came to the end. And we'll give each other a round of applause. And then we stopped talking. And then all of a sudden my daughter said, right, it's my turn now. I'm going to do a speech. And she said, you're the only person who nobody spoke about. And it's amazing you don't realise what people feel about you. You feel about them. And it's easy to say, I love you, and that type of thing. And she explained all the reasons why she loved me. And it's just, it's brilliant. It was brilliant. It was so nice to listen to her say nice things about it. And I suppose that's really the essence of this podcast. Some people find it really easy and funny to be not very nice. But I think you can get as much joy from being nice and just beefing people up. I had an occasion, a friend of mine, last week, went into a pub. He was a massive guy years ago, and he must have lost an awful lot of weight. He's definitely lost an awful lot of weight. It's physical, and he was of such a size, what people would call morbidly obese. And you can actually see how much he lost. He must have lost 8, 9 stone, whatever that is. If you listen to this in a different country. And I said to him, I said, you look amazing. You've done really well. I said, you must have lost a load of weight. And he turned round and he said, yeah, and it looks like you've put it on. I really was taken aback. I was quite angry, really, to be honest. I mean, I've put weight on. I genuinely don't care. But I thought, for somebody to actually say that to a person that had just paid him a compliment, then you're not a true friend. and I'll probably never bother with him again. And I say it's nothing to do with the weight. It's just to do with how can you speak to a friend of yours to make yourself feel better by saying something like that. Anyway, that comes to the end of podcast number 2. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've took on board some of the things I've said. As usual, the comments box is there. Why not tell me what you think? If you think it's bad, let me know why it was bad. If you think it was good, let me know why it was good. I don't think I've done too bad. This is the second one I've ever done, and it just gets easier. It's really easy to sit and chat. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.